Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on beverage trends at retail. As a quick introduction, I'm Dan Sabinosh, Director of Shopper Marketing for Great Northern Instore. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully, everybody is doing well, staying healthy and safe and sane in today's times. I look forward to sharing with you the results of our beverage audits that took place probably mainly in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Our team spread across the country got to about nearly 50 different retailers to really highlight and understand what's going on in the beverage category. As a few others continue to log on, just a quick couple of things about the GoToWebinar platform. First is this webinar will be about 40 to 45 minutes. So we'll also have a little bit of time at the end, hopefully, for questions. So please utilize the questions section of the GoToWebinar dashboard to pop in anything that comes to mind or pops into your head as we're discussing. Again, we'll do my best to answer them. You'll also get a follow-up email later today or first thing in the morning. So if anything springs to mind, you can definitely respond to that or give me a call. I'm open and would love to tackle any challenges that you may have. To kind of kick us off, Great Northern Instore, a leading designer and manufacturer of retail merchandising displays, both from temporary, semi-permanent, and even permanent. Based primarily in the Midwest manufacturing, but with offices around the country. Our mission is all about helping our customers win by doing what others can't or won't. And that starts right at the outset with having an understanding and insights of what's happening in the market. So with that, we'll start into things. And I think, as we all know, probably the biggest story as we hit this year was all of a sudden great stuff, and then bam, this gigantic pandemic hit us and threw a whole bunch of curveballs into how do we go to market and the in-store retail environment. We saw all sorts of shifts begin to occur, and one of the major ones is a shift from on-site visits. Overall, retail saw about a 15% reduction in visits. Restaurants, obviously, as well, saw, I'm actually surprised it was only a 25% reduction. Maybe that's counting in some of the takeout still taking place. And then drugstores also saw a pretty good hit by a survey done by Buzzback MB Mobile Insight Solutions. So definitely seeing the shift. But simultaneously, and this is some of data from Nielsen's total store data, that in the essential grocery type of categories, actually, though, we saw spending rise about $2.2 billion per week. Obviously, you see that crazy spike there, which was a lot of pantry loading. But in the mid-March to the beginning of May, those 8 weeks, there was about almost a $40 billion uptick in spending. About a third of that was pantry loading, and the rest was additional consumption that people were doing at home versus on premise. Now, that said, we've heard a lot, e-commerce has popped, and it has. Definitely in the stock up trips, and this is also according to Nielsen, comparatively, stock up trips online saw a 61% increase, but definitely the huge winner was grocery at 106% increase in stock up trips versus year ago. Everybody saw some amount of a little bit of an uptick here because stock up became highly important during this period, particularly of reduced trips. but definitely grocery store seeing a huge win. But as we said, online was a winner, and it captured a lot of the immediate, quick trips, which online saw there. And this is where we saw other retailers lose some ground. Grocery held its own, but drug, mass, and club actually from some of those immediate trips took some dips down, which makes sense. Again, a lot of the online was there. Stock up trips, which became just large, a larger number in its own right, were increasing. And shoppers see spending continue to stay high. This is according to Kantar's COVID-19 survey at the mid-end of March, and they really saw at that point in terms of what do people expect to spend more on, groceries, cleaning supplies, personal hygiene, all seeing big upticks. So definitely something that's is out there, and we saw that spending is obviously impacting the beverage category. But that said, looking at in stores, and one of the things we were really interested to see was what was going to happen to display. We heard the scenarios of, yes, out of stocks happening, stores pretty much just needing to keep product in stock, not worrying as much about secondary display. So all of those things we had heard out there, and yes, from that impact, as we've seen and done more of our auditing as we've come out of this, but yes, a lot of case stacks are very prevalent out there at retail today, to just literally stack the product, make it easy, keep people, obviously store personnel are focused on a lot of different things today. It's keeping a lot of these essential categories stocked. It's adding obviously cleaning and sanitization to their stores to keep shoppers safe, as well as obviously even teams coming in and out of the stores to help merchandise. Retailers are trying to minimize their presence, again, limiting the contact of people to limit obviously chances and risk of COVID transmission. So we saw, yes, a lot of this, and we've heard and seen in various surveys. This is again from Kantar's barometer on COVID-19. It is all about safety. Shoppers are saying what's going to allow them to feel safe and return to a normal daily life. Vaccination is the biggest number here, but as well, right up at the top are regular sterilization measures, everyone being tested regularly, continued social distancing, and even everyone wearing face masks. So all these various things of how do we keep shoppers safe is really paramount in today's environment. And interestingly, as we move into some of our audit pictures now, social distancing, one of those key things, keeping those distances. For the most part, retailers have gone to market on their own, creating their own signs, but starting to see some signs actually being branded by various partners to, again, help call out the safety measures, remind people to social distance, but also have that branded tie-in. In this case, High Noon. And I'll say, frankly, mostly we saw this with alcohol. You see High Noon, we see New Glarus there, kind of being creative with the cow. And then even Captain Morgan's rum on the right there with these various, with the store floor decals. So very interesting, starting to see some amount of partnerships and coming to life in store. What are those possibilities? Again, we're seeing this primarily with just social distancing messages, but what are other ways that potentially brands can partner with retailers to, again, help ensure and accommodate safety for their shoppers? By the way, both of the images here really sharp. New Glarus really here in this Meyer store, creating this whole look and feel at the aisle with the gigantic spanner across the, for the whole entrance to the aisle, and large signage as well. And then not necessarily Captain Morgan, but a really sharp high west display, wood and metal, almost to look like a plow kind of standing on end for this whiskey that's coming out of the high plains. Another way about it, and this, they no signage obviously for COVID on this, but this is a very interesting display. Fireball that is selling their, in this case, it's about a 12 pack of small size Fireball bottles in these little cases. This is the inverse of gravity fed. It's a spring loaded display. So here, instead of a dump in where you got to reach in, literally the product just keeps elevating up. You touch the top product that you're pulling off. Thank you very much. Putting in your cart and moving on with your shopping trip. And the next one elevates on up. So a really sharp activation. Obviously, it's just great from a stocking perspective and looking full, having the product right there instead of having to bend down to grab it. Was the initial design, but obviously a great secondary benefit of being, I'm only touching the product that I'm picking up, which is really cool about this display. Promotions, and obviously summertime, normally filled with a variety of promotions, and many of those still going on. Here, Canada Dry, promoting a connection with a Big Y grocer fish fry aspect of buy get, and then Coca-Cola products in a Meyer, again, a whole meal solution here with Coke and the rotisserie chickens at Meyer, again, all around those simple meal solutions, which has always been a trend. But I think, again, even more paramount today as people are doing more at home and obviously starting to cook a lot, maybe at the beginning, a lot of fun with the family, but maybe also, I know in our household too, it's like, again, what do I need to think about again? Having these type of solutions are great ways to merchandise and provide shoppers that easy meal solution. In a similar way, some great merchandising. These are pretty simple hutch designs, but again, showcasing the whole aspect of an alcoholic beverage and a non-alcoholic mixer all together. One nice display, highlighting the products mixed together. There you go, and you can simply grab it and go instead of having to wander into two different sections of the store, down different aisles. Simple, easy. Really helps drive the purchase. A few other ones, just an interesting, in this case, a partnership with Svet Vodka and Budweiser on a whole stock up deal. Interesting. Talking Rain Sparkling Ice Water, connecting up with their Heroes campaign and really broadcasting that in a gigantic way at retail. And then nicely, this is Corbel, and obviously in this case, a very relevant promotion with Uber as well. So a nice permanent display that they have there, really sharp, powder coated metal white to their brand, and that cool, clear, printed PET on the side with the gigantic bottle and the bubbly popping out of it. But again, also just that sharp tie-in with Uber. And I think, again, to highlight, again, maybe people aren't going out of as much, but maybe, again, that idea of potentially going to family and et cetera, and that, again, having somebody to get you home at that point. I think, again, what we'll say about promotion is value is probably going to become all the more critical as we go on in the next few months with the economic impacts. I think overall we saw high levels of spend, as you saw in the charts. people were just trying to make sure that they had the products at home for their families, to keep everybody healthy, safe, fed, etc. And but as some of the economics start to trickle through and some of the stimulus measures potentially start to um, roll out, uh, value is become all the more important. And thinking of those ways that you can provide value is going to be critical moving forward. A few other ones, Monster Energy on this display, a whole grab and go of getting a few different ones for the whole aspect. Not necessarily a huge promotion, but I kind of like this La Marca, where they've actually created these little metal fixtures that kind of sit on the lips of the cases. So you can buy the full bottle, but you can also buy the smaller bottles there, kind of that cross, little bit of extra merchandising there. And then Sutter Home, they've run this campaign at least last year, maybe even before that, all around Build a Better Burger, a whole sweepstakes around Sutter Home and grilling at home. So again, that campaign continues to run. We hit summertime, and I know this year again, as we looked at this, boy, we're very curious for what was going to happen with some of these promotions, because obviously the Olympics were taking place, or supposed to, and have not. Obviously, sports seasons have gotten truncated or canceled or ended or delayed. And what does this all mean for a lot of the summer promotions that were supposed to be out there? And you saw a few already. We still saw other ones that were just right on and still running. Patriotic campaigns, Miller Lite, obviously with some of their case pack designs, but even the POP around it, the pole toppers that all drive into the patriotic theme. And obviously some various Statue of Liberty executions, whether that's Twisted Tea or Seagram's with the really cool one made out of their packaging that's three-dimensional. So again, really still always valid, particularly as we're in the Memorial Day time frame and leading into 4th of July, just that festive nature. And summertime is also not summertime if you don't think about the beach. That's always relevant too, with the various umbrellas or just depictions that are on the various displays, just making you think about that refreshment as you're sitting out there on the beach enjoying the sun. White Claw, definitely going out there with the surfer motif, even in simpler displays with its pole topper, or even we saw a few of these gigantic hero displays, again with the surfer made out of their cases, that's life size and really calls out the brand. What intrigued me is their competitor Truly also very much went in the same line of that surfer theme as well, with the giant surfboards, which kind of makes me smile of how similar the brands went to market this summer. But again, it's all around that fun at the beach, summertime feeling. And then just other hot summertime things. So as much as sports may be on a bit of hiatus, Body Armor continued to move ahead, where they were featuring some players like Dustin Johnson golfing or Mike Trout baseball that still felt it was relevant, even with the seasons that are starting or will start later, still all part of that summertime fun and wanting to kind of keep that sense of a bit of normalcy. And then a few others, it's even just about the flavors of summer and calling that out, highlighting flavor. So buy lemonade with a few different, using the POP on their hutch to really call that out. Make sure that people get that this is their lemonade. And again, utilizing the fresh fruit all over the graphics, to highlight that and the more summer flavors. Kind of wish that was a little bit higher, so the caps of the bottles didn't block some of the messaging. But again, all the imagery really brings that to life of that festive, fun summer flavors. And then Red Bull on this merchandiser, again, really highlighting for summer their watermelon flavor here on this case stacker. So again, calling it out boldly, you know, as much as we have the lovely the virus is with us, the season is still relevant. On the flip side, cool. More on the permanent end of things, but it was very interesting as we audited to see the variety of activations that incorporated refrigerators or refrigeration. Red Bull having these few different units depending on size and footprints in the stores, height restrictions that, again, are totally branded for their product that just has, you know, huge stopping power. I love how they're well lit, so you just cannot miss the product inside. Large glass, clean, and obviously some great branding on these activations. Also really cool, I love the one on the left where they took the extra time to have some merchandise product on the top and create that spot so you can obviously grab the one to go and grab the case for home. A few others, just refrigeration units incorporated into end caps, whether that's a full end cap as the Gatorade on the left and the sparkling ice in the middle, or that check lane end cap for Lipton. But again, some sharp activations with the cool product in the refrigerator, well lit, and then as well having the other products around for the deals to take home, etc. So some great activations. I love how Gatorade also took the time to put on the extra merchandise units on the front of this activation to as well sell their powdered products. So again, helping drive all sorts of their whole product line on that end cap. Some great branding, obviously, with their colors. And sparkling ice, also some great branding with the bottles, the rainbow, which is what they feature so prominently. And I'll close on this one. This one's a really sharp one from Mountain Dew. Again, all refrigerated unit in this case, but I love the LED lighting here that they utilized. Obviously, not just to highlight the product in the coolers, but you have this unit, it's plugged in. They are backlighting the supersized bottle on the side of the refrigerator to really pop, as well as that cool green, their brand color thrown down onto the floor. And I think that really helps the unit pop and be different than any other of the end caps around it in the store, and stands out. It's kind of one of those little pieces. All of the cost, I'll say the bulk of the cost is already built into the unit with the power needing to be there, etc. And it's just adding that additional string of LEDs to really help this set this unit off. LED lighting, something we've highlighted in a number of our webinars, and we've seen in a host of trends. Frankly, I was probably, again, because of the scenario, in the short term, not a lot of temporary merchandising that had LEDs in it. But even permanent, I think there's a great opportunity to incorporate more LEDs in to really help products and brands stand out. Natural, obviously a huge segment in the beverage industry is natural, good, healthy. Obviously, the macro trend of people looking out for what they're putting in their bodies and wanting to obviously make the healthy choice. And in this case, then a lot of that ladders into how do I merchandise my product to highlight the further, I think all the details, think through what is going to continue to drive that message home. And from permanent displays, in many regards, that's using wood. And we saw a lot of that in the beverage category, to utilize wood to really bring out that authentic feeling. Um, in this case, San Pellegrino. On the left, really thinking that old world, their messaging, a taste of Italy. So it's all around that, and then it's the produce of the citrus that's in the product. Almost thinking the wood crates that they'd be carried around in. So really, the choice of material that went in the display, nicely pulls together the entire messaging around the brand. Um, on the right, similar with the Kentucky whiskey display, again, really harks back to thinking about barrels, natural, really authentic product that's on that display. Red Bull in this floor stand, just kind of a great look in terms of a mix of wood and metal to really create this just kind of on trend industrial kind of looking display that's really just sharp and slick. We also saw a lot of this in Euroshop, and a lot of the trends that we saw of merchandising there. It's just about that great connectivity of these two materials to create that rugged industrial sharp look. In this case, Red Bull doing it well with that combination here. I also love the angles that they utilized here. That's something different. Product actually then stands out from the display slightly with the angular look, which is a great design. Similarly, again, that local craft spirit, in this case, a local distillery in Wisconsin, again, utilizing a wood display that just signifies, again, that craft nature of it. And, it does help tie in that idea of, again, almost that local homemade type of thought. As Kantar is monitored in their COVID-19 barometer through a variety of waves, as they've uh, surveyed shoppers from the end of March into May in the various waves. In the US, shoppers, this is the percent of shoppers kind of saying that they really have a strong desire for local products, really going steadily up through this pandemic from 25% to 36%. And, kind of thinking of those ways that make you seem more authentic, local, US. We saw the patriotic themes before, or in this case, obviously a local craft spirits, calling that out boldly on the display. Joel Gott using wood crates, kind of customized, obviously for retail, not just the actual crates, to really create that, a more merchandisable solution, but really sharp. But what was interesting to me, the Miyamomi display on the right, a wood look. So that's a temporary display made out of corrugate to look like wood. So again, even if there's a potential temporary application, I don't know if this is probably the best route to go on it, but I will say the possibility is there to put together some fun things that can utilize a mix of materials to print and get the authentic feel. A few other fun ones that I'll say a little bit different. Obviously, Jameson doing a nice job with the barrel, which again harkens back to whiskey and the aging process. In this case, I love the idea of using some of the metal and using the cutouts to create the shelves to merchandise the product. A few other ones, though, of printed wood products. So the Miss Mary's, just kind of a cool printed wood to kind of give a different look to it, that still get that authentic and their look, that they're using the graphic the graphics that are a bit retro, obviously to fill that out. And then two gingers, again, utilizing again a wood display, but painting it again to really look and hark towards a bit of the bottle kind of coloration, as well as that shape as well on the sides, that the profile a little bit. So just kind of a pretty cool look there as well. So you can go just natural wood and then be a little bit creative with it, which was kind of cool. So I'll touch on a few other fun activations that we saw while out there as well. Um, Two neat ones. On the left, lining kugels, just a little touch, but putting their canoe on the fridge door handle to really brand it. It's their section in this liquor store for the most part, not all of it, but most of it. And we're able to secure that. And it really just ties in nicely with their summertime brand that they have with their shandies. Just a sharp look there. And again, it stands out when you see this down the whole line of cooler doors. A small touch, but definitely differentiating. Coca-Cola on the right, in this case, really in an Albertsons, creating this, I'll say, gigantic experience, utilizing their iconic bottle shape. So supersizing it, making it gigantic, you cannot miss it. I love how they've really played into the curves, even on the merchandising below it. They took the time and the details to really create that whole experience there, as well as obviously the shelves inside the bottle itself. But really a fun activation that attracts attention from afar. The next couple, again, a couple other permanent ones for Pepsi and Red Bull. Both of these metal, just fun in the, I'll say the Pepsi one in the very clean look, utilizing, I guess, one of their retro logos, uh, and just really utilizing their brand color blue to stand out. Even though in this case, it's a flexible display, multiple brands put on it. Obviously, in this case, merchandised out with Mountain Dew in this case, but still just this fun, easy to recognize display. And then Red Bull on the right, what I love are the angles. So many times we see the regular case stackers that are rectangular and very simple, and it all to some degree starts to blend in with with the rectangular prisms of the store shelves, with the aisles, with everything, and it all blends. It's obviously most economical, but in this case, Red Bull, it still all fits in that rectangular shipper and keeps that look, but they've gone a bit with putting some angles into this metal merchandiser that really helps it stand out and look a bit different from what's around it. And I guess on the left is, I will say, Pepsi a little bit is using some of the curves in there too. It could have all been squared off, but just kind of the round circle logo on top, the rounded edges of the unit at the top and on the base deck, all really create something that's a little bit different from all the standard rectangular stackers. So all good, all fun. We see a lot of different things going on at retail. It all didn't just evaporate to just being case stackers at retail. There was some fun to be had, even through this pandemic as we're opening back up a bit. But there still are a lot of challenges moving forward. The biggest question is what's going to stick. We saw a lot of changes in shopper behavior, as we noted earlier on. A lot of stock up trips, a lot of online, a lot of buy online, pick up in store. And this is a survey by Consensus Point. And they actually, in their survey here in May, highlighted that shopping for groceries online with pickup in store is something that 3/4 of the respondents said they liked and think is going to stick. Um, just from the convenience and ease of it, of being able to get most of the order all there. And I guess in some ways there's not a huge cost to that, where obviously if it gets delivered to home, a lot of those services will, there's a little bit of an extra cost to that. You see that's the bottom next to bottom item on the chart is shopping for groceries online with home delivery. So that's still going to also grow, not nearly as much as the pickup at store. A lot of stuff in the middle there, though, all around stocking up. Still maybe a habit that's going to be there for families to think about that, particularly until things really normalize out. As we talked local, that is something that continues to be very important for people, with 48% saying shopping from locally owned stores. Well, cut that title off a little bit, but loyalty. And again, what are we going to do to maintain loyalty? Shoppers, again, from Consensus Point, really highlight price is paramount to them as they're making choices. And I think that's probably reflecting the current economic environment is going to, obviously price is always something people are going to say, but current economic environment that is out there right now, that is going to be a huge factor. Sustainability has always been a number that's been up there and continues to grow and still is up there. It hasn't necessarily gone away, but the next two are also interesting. Safety is right up there with sustainability. Convenience is also very important. And then, from a person, I used to work for Colgate, very much into brands. Interesting to see quality and brand name falling further down that list. That just makes you go, all right, we got to be very smart about some of those items on the top that are going to continue to keep me relevant with shoppers. And how do I call this out? Sustainability, that's the one thing you start to see is go to like wood displays or corrugated displays that are recyclable. It's all around those pieces that think about materials that are, when you think retail displays and merchandising, that can tie into that. And this is from Nielsen. And as they surveyed the impacts of COVID-19 on consumer behavior, and in this case, the respondents were asked what is impacted by COVID-19 now, which is the orange bars, and at least 4 months out, thinking about the zone of until things get back to more normal. And home cooking is definitely one of those items up there where 50% of the respondents said this is definitely impacted, and I'm doing this now more than I have, and it's going to stay there. Dining out, severely impacted at first, makes sense. As we know, shelter in place really drove that, but it's still going to be impacted even for a while, as 48% still say 4+ months out, dining out's going to be there, is going to be impacted, which to a large degree means our categories, beverage, all the more going to be obviously shopped at grocery. Working from home makes sense. I know a lot of us have worked through that and are still working through that. Travel is impacted now and will continue to be for a while. And then grocery shopping has been impacted, as we all know, in a different, in a variety of ways. And people say that will continue to be impacted, which drives, again, a lot of the ideas around, some of the changes in shopping behavior are going to stick with how people have begun to try different methods of getting their groceries. And obviously, it's going to impact how do we juggle things in store. So what does that mean for us? and what I'd love to leave everybody is various takeaways. It is a new experience out there. This pandemic has adjusted shopper behaviors and desires. Safety, convenience, consolidated trips are going to be with us for a while. What we need to think about are those solutions that are going to give shoppers the confidence that our in-store environments are safe, making it as easy as possible for the shoppers. Think back to those meal solutions that we saw early on at Meijer and Big Y with Coke and Canada Dry. And then think, consolidated trips, it is making it easy for that shopper in terms of that stock up trip of getting all the products and getting your product in the basket for that critical trip. A few things from the audit, which obviously highlighted summer in this case, but I will say and extend that seasonal is still very relevant. It is still, how do you break through in store where the shopper is making those decisions to really stand out and make sure you're relevant and popping, and being on season is part of that. Stay cool. Beverage, again, interesting seeing all the various refrigeration units and some of the cool ways to really make them pop. LED lighting is one I'd highlight is something that's a way to go about it. And we've shown the permanent, but we've done as Great Northern a number of battery operated temporary displays, even with small button LEDs to, again, drive that attention grabbing nature of them. Natural, as mentioned, wood displays, or thinking about the messaging, or thinking about how you bring to life the details of your brand into the materials and messaging on your displays. And then finally, again, is to be no surprise to anybody, but it's find those ways to stand out. It's thinking about, you saw the big case stacks. It's going to be driven by a lot of pricing promotion to generate that. And that's a key part today, also with value. But in a world where obviously as brands, we don't necessarily want to be on the spiral down to lowest possible price, it's how do you have that right promotion that may have other tie-ins, and how do you really stand out and pop with your product in store, with your displays, whether that's graphics, whether it's shape, lighting, or other elements. So with that, that is today's presentation. I want to say thank you to everybody for, again, devoting your time to this. If there is any questions that pop up, type them in now. If there's anything, I think I got, no, I don't have anything on the map at the moment. But I will say you'll get it email from me later today or tomorrow. Couple things. One, if you do have any other questions or something here triggers a spark in your brain, please don't hesitate to respond to that. And because I will say I have a load of other pictures too. Our audits were pretty rich, and we have a bunch of other activations too that we can share and connect and ideate around. Also, if you can provide any feedback about the webinar, I'm definitely open to that. Definitely want to try to make these as useful to you as possible for future webinars. So please don't hesitate to provide any feedback as well. So with that, again, I want to thank you all for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we look to connect with you on a future webinar or soon in the future. Thank you.